Yes, everybody, we're back. It's your favourite show, The Debrief. It's 6 p.m. on Monday, the 7th of October. It's the beginning of that time again. We're in the middle ground of the international breaks. We've got one more coming up, and then we just hit that nice, tranquil period of Leeds United week in, week out. Although it's not that, and this week has proved that. It's been injuries, it's been draws, but it's been mistakes as well. And we're going to get into all of that this evening, everybody. Please make sure you slap a like on the video. If you are here on the replay, hello. Make sure you're hitting a like on the video as well. We do read all of the comments back. If you want a bonus episode, there was a Generation Leeds that went on earlier on the Patreon. That was I didn't expect my dad to be so heated. So if you want that, a little bit of bonus content over there, make sure you do so. www.oneleeds.com as well. We do have an article potentially offering some solutions to the Ilan Meslier situation. So go hit that up as well. Shout out a nice shirt, mate. Evening all, evening Con, and all. Nice to catch a live stream. Shane is in the building again. How you, mate? Can see some people already maybe having thoughts about this evening's show. It's going to be a good one. I've only got over Friday. Right, let's get into it, shall we? Oscar, how are we doing, mate? We're here. Oscar, Gabe, who's had a fresh shave for the show, and Mr. Wayneman again.
Do you think this is a fresh shave?
Yeah, you look freshly shaved, mate. You're like a newborn baby.
What is this cap? The cap game. The cap game. It's strong. It gets stronger. It's Bruce.
I thought, just to wind up Gabe, I was looking and thinking, I'm due a trim this week. So I thought, you know what? I'm not going to expose my absolutely horrendous trim at the moment. So I thought, let's go for a cap. And I was thinking, do we go for the white Leeds one? Do we go for Bruce Springsteen? Because I know how much Gabe loves Bruce Springsteen, don't you, Gabe? You love him.
He's trying to look like Bruce Springsteen.
I wish. Flipping heck. If I look like him at 73, I'll be absolutely over the moon, lads.
I don't know how to respond to this. I don't even know how to think.
Right.
Where'd you get a Springsteen cap?
He loves him, man. He loves him.
Twice.
Come on.
Twice.
This is a spotty start anyway. But
sorry, it's my fault. It's my fault.
I didn't think Gabe would get this
bringing
upset
chaos.
Chaos.
I didn't even catch his cap, but now I can't get my eyes off it. It's another
I've
white.
got me Oasis on one on then next week. Gabe loves that even more.
The sombrero is on. Oscar, how we doing, mate? I need a brief. Yeah, I'm doing all right, mate, because we've got some cooking to do. I've got all the pans out tonight, so we need to move on to some of the absolute abomination that came out of that man in the corner's mouth last week.
Let's not spoil the proceedings here, Connor. How are you doing?
Let's let the broth simmer.
Yeah, I'm doing all right, mate. I'm doing all right. That's pretty much what you wanted, isn't it? Just massively frustrated again, mate. But all in all, good in general. Yeah. Good stuff.
Gabe, sound a bit quiet today, mate. Is that Mike all right? How are you doing?
Oh, I'm trying to stay away from it because every time I listen back, I hear the levels spiking. So I haven't quite figured it out yet. But I'm okay, Connor. You know, before we get into things, I think it's important to acknowledge that we here are human beings, that we're going to make mistakes, that we shouldn't be judged at our worst moments. Don't blame the individuals, blame their upbringing. Blame the water tinted with lead that they're consuming in certain cities called Sunderland. Blame numerous things. But I'd like to kick it over to Wayneman because he and I had a good heart-to-heart chat this morning, and he has some things he'd like to say. I think he prepared a statement, Joe.
Yeah.
We'll just get into just what we heard last week, and we're just going to bring you back to, I think around 7 days ago, it was Mr. Wayneman's.
Yeah, that's right. Before the statement, we need to contextualize. You're right, Connor. Kick it
over. Oscar, we're just going to fly back to last week, mate, where you had another hat. You had another hat on. They thought that when you recruit someone like Rothwell, you look at Tanaka and you see.
Let it go, bro. Rothwell shite. Just let it go.
He can't.
No, he's not shy.
You've backed the wrong horse.
Hang on. Did Wayneman just say that Rothwell is shite?
Yeah, I've never
He's
said
shite,
I've
man.
never said anything
Wait a minute,
about
what are
Gruev
you
like
on
that.
about?
He's not. He's
I've
not.
never said anything about Gruev
The
like that.
the Rothwell glazing for a guy that's played about 20 minutes at
Listen,
Leeds United is
I
brutal.
want people to clip this up now, and if Joe ever says that
I've
we're
been
overly
saying it.
negative,
I
I want them to bring it back. He's calling one of our players we haven't even seen very much shite.
Yeah. So I feel like I need to answer for my crimes. So I've prepared. I've spoken with my brief and prepared a written statement. So I would just like to average Joel. I would just like to address this to Joe Rothwell and any fans of Joe Rothwell. I hope this letter finds you in good spirits and you're not too busy making those killer passes for Leeds United. I owe you a massive apology, and I promise this isn't just one of those half-arsed apologies. It's not that I'm sorry you feel that kind of way apology. This is full on, from the bottom of my heart. I was wrong, and you're awesome. It's that kind of apology. And first off, let me say that calling you shit or shite before you even had a chance to show your skills at Leeds United was a colossal mistake. I must have been having a bad day, or maybe I was just jealous of your incredible hair. Either way, it was uncalled for, and I'm truly sorry. Against Sunderland, you were nothing short of spectacular. Your vision on the field, your ability to control the game, and your knack for making things happen were a joy to watch. And it's clear that you are a vital part of this team. And I can't believe I ever doubted you. So in order to make it up to you, I promise to never doubt your abilities again. If you ever need someone to carry your boots, fetch your water, or just sing your praises, I'm that guy. And please accept this apology and know that I'm, now one of your biggest fans. I will not be taking any further questions from the media at this time. And I would ask that my privacy and that of my family be respected during this difficult time for us all. Yours sincerely, Just Joe, guilty as charged.
Well, I have to say that, mate. That was very good. Well done.
It was.
People are going to come in and think you've said something racist or something, and you're like giving an apology to not get canceled.
I kind of feel quite bad now.
Bad,
I feel amazing about this. This is wonderful. Listen, wait. Let me just say to Joe, it takes a big man to come out and say when you were wrong, and you've now done it 3 times. You said that Meslier was the best keeper in the league last season. That was wrong. You said that. What's his name? Willie Nanto should have been benched 4 games ago, and you've come and apologized for the Rothwell. That does take a big man, Joe. And
yeah,
if apologies were a reflection of height, you'd be 7 foot tall.
I mean, in my defense,
oh, here we go. Here we go.
now the genuineness of the apology gets deconstructed.
No. Of course, I get things wrong. 5% of the time, the other 95, I'm pretty bang on the money, but it makes me laugh because one of my comments on my latest vid says, Joe changes his statements more often than I pass wind, was his exact comment. So it is what it is. Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah. Look, to be honest, he was phenomenal. And I've apologized to Creamy. I've apologized to Furpo.
That's right.
I've apologized to them all. Yeah.
I don't even know the Somerville one. What was that? Well,
yeah,
I called him Yam Pervader 2.0.
Oh my word! When did you do that? I don't remember that.
That was when he was first coming off the bench.
Oh, okay.
There's context, not last season or all like that. No. Yeah, listen, it is what it is. I go balls to the wall, don't I? It is what it is. So hey ho. But look, I just didn't get the outcry for him to start. And again, and I spoke to Connor about this earlier. There is a trade-off now that we have to accept as a fan base that we are going to be more open, because I feel that, in the last 2 games away from home, we've conceded 3 goals, whereas we weren't conceding them. Joe Bellingham, if his shooting boots were on, could have had a couple on Friday night, the amount of times he was caught on the edge of the box. But if Joe Rothwell's going to go, do you know what? I'm sick of going left and right. I'm going to pop that over the top and put it straight on Pirro's bonds. then that's going to help us unlock defenses as well. But I do feel that the games will be a lot more transitional, a lot more end-to-end, a lot more basketball-y playing this way. But I'm okay with it, I guess. Bring back Gruev.
Yeah, I think it's probably a good starting point really for the game. I mean, we don't really have any other choice now. We can't move off that and then go back into it. Gabe, the midfield sort of pivot, it worked, I guess, to an extent. I agree with what Joe's saying. I think, and I said it on my preview, actually, I was a little bit worried about Bellingham. We've obviously got Bashiru to come for Watford as well, who might occupy that role a little bit centrally and cause a few issues in there. And we've also obviously got Callum O'Hare of Sheffield United, who also is going to occupy that position a different sort of way. But I guess on the ball, technically, I think it was more of a problem for Sunderland because Sunderland were maybe just sort of retreating a little bit because they didn't know whether or not Rothwell was going to clip the ball over, whether he was going to go sideways, whether he was going to just do X, Y, and Z. He seemed to vary up that midfield. So did Tanaka as well. It seemed to just have a little bit more to it.
The biggest difference for me was if you look at the heat map of, and by the way, how's the mic level? Is it better? People in the chat have been saying it's bad. Okay, thank you. If you look at the heat map for Ampadu and Gruev, it's way more expansive in terms of the way they cover ground, and that makes it really difficult to play against. It's a big part of how we defend in being able to dispossess any attacks in the midfield. However, I have to call out something really special. Tanaka, it's not just how tidy he is, it's the way he receives the ball, the positions he puts himself in, the half turn, the tight spaces. He would be a nightmare to play against. He is easily our most technical midfielder, in my opinion. Easily. It's not even close. To play a match like that in a relatively open match against a good, as you've mentioned, Connor, good Sunderland midfield, to finish the match with a 96% pass completion rate. And again, it's not like he's playing, just safety valve possession every time. That was pretty incredible to me. Rothwell played really well in addition, but the point, Joe made it, you've made it, I'm sure Oscar will make it in some other way. We're going to be a little bit easier to play through simply because we don't cover ground in the same way. I know that Gruev does a lot of it positionally. And I'm not saying those guys don't do their jobs in defense. Rothwell's a little bit easier to run past than any of the other three midfielders. And Tanaka, he puts in a shift, but I mean, his instincts are not quite as defensive. He gets stuck in, he does what he needs to do. He needs to be a little bit careful with some of the fouling, I think. I thought he laid it on a little bit thick during the match. But I was pleased with it. But we are going to have more open games, I would say, than compared to what we have with Gruev and Ampadu. And I think my concern is, of course, the goalkeeping situation, which I'm sure we'll get into. Whenever you have a more open match, you're going to acquiesce more shots on target. That's my real concern. But I will leave that until later because I'm sure we're going to put a pin in Illan Meslier and come back to it.
Yeah, Oscar, what were your thoughts, mate? The dynamics seemed pretty good. I saw on Twitter you were sort of happy with it. I think with what Gabe said there, it's interesting because a lot of us, including myself, probably were suggesting that we weren't being direct enough in the midfield. From my perspective, I thought there needed to be a little bit of a balance in there, and I think the balancing act is a defensive player, and I think then an attacking presence in that double pivot as well is probably the best way to go. We don't have that luxury right now. The worry is an injury to one of them, and I don't know what happens, and you can't just and I guess we can't turn around now and just say, oh well, that won't happen, because with the injuries that we're facing at this moment in time, it seems to just be constant, and hopefully it doesn't. But you were really impressed, weren't you, by what you saw on Friday night?
Yeah, I think for the Norwich game as well, as I said on all ECV post-match, I think on the ball, I think certainly in that sort of half an hour spell in between us being at 1-1 to half-time, I think we played some of the best football we've played all season, to be honest, in that spell. I mean, some of the line-breaking passes Tanaka and Rothwell were playing was on another level in that kind of sense. But as Joe said, as Gabe said, and I think as we expected, really, we're more open. I think naturally you're more open. Ideally, as you've alluded to, it would ideally be Tanaka or Rothwell alongside Ampadu or Gruev. I think that's the ideal balance. But I think you just got to play into the strengths of what we've got right now. Listen, Ampadu hopefully will be available for the second half of the season. We're already sort of 9 games in, so hopefully it's not going to be a long period of time that we're going to have to, have quite an unbalanced midfield. But the benefits are there to see. We play some really, really good football in both games. But yeah, defensively, Bellingham, as Joe said, I actually thought Bellingham put in one of the best opposition player performances against us of the season. I thought he was absolutely outstanding, Bellingham, to be honest. And I'll be honest, I'm not doing an apology here because he's a rival player, but I never actually thought he was that good. I honestly never really saw it in him. Although he is playing deeper this season, he's actually playing more in kind of Jude's kind of position. He's playing more as a striker last season. So whether it's because of that, I'm not sure, but he was super impressive.
Oscar, did you notice that the commentary? I'm not sure what commentary you got to see. The commentary was like over the top praising Joe Bellingham. I'm like, it's not Jude there. Like every time he touched the ball, they were like, play really what a fantastic footballer. It did. Were you
listening to the? Was it the English commentary? Listen to mate. It's Don Goodman.
I mean,
look, him and unbelievable. I listened to it back, and that guy is.
It was way over the top.
I can't get into what I actually think about that guy in Hinchcliffe as well. It was the other one. They are the most biased LHBs I've ever come across. They are so unprofessional. I feel just the narratives every time Leeds are playing. Every time, it's not just one game, 2 games. It feels like every single game. But anyway,
they were almost complimenting his stride on the way he runs. I was like, this is getting a little bit excessive.
Yeah, Rodon apparently was having a really bad game. That's what he said.
I didn't see that at all.
Rodon had a poor game.
No, second half, I thought was probably Rodon's probably best half of the whole season, to be honest. I thought Rodon and Stroud were outstanding defending the box. Of course, we can see late on, but I can't really remember Sunderland having a chance in that second half, before. I mean, even the goal's not a chance, we're being honest. But one thing I will just pick up on is that Tanaka, it looks like he's going to be permanently be in that right-hand channel, and Rothwell's going to be in the left. Tanaka's going to be deeper, Rothwell's going to be slightly further up. But there's no coincidence for me that you're seeing a lot more output from Nonto since Tanaka's coming to the team. Nothing against Ampadu or Gruev, but I think you're certainly seeing from that progressive passing, that carrying, that ability to link the midfield and the attack. I think Tanaka does it better than anyone in the team. And as Gabe said, I think he is our most technical midfielder. Not necessarily our best. He might be our best, but he's definitely our most technical. So it's no coincidence for me that you're seeing Nonto putting up much better numbers. And Bogle's getting into some really good attacking situations. Just his final pass, it's been a little bit wayward, or the wrong decisions being made. Easily we could have won that Norwich game 2-1 had Bogle squared it to Joseph. But that's certainly a massive positive from the last 2 games. If we're going to look at the positives rather than the negatives.
Yeah, there's a lot to take away from it as well. I mean, I think having watched Norwich more than a little bit this season, I know they're an up and down team. But they're talented and they have a lot of physicality that we don't have. I think going into their home stadium and playing against them is always going to be a difficult task. I think that we're having a different conversation here if we see the match out, away at the Stadium of Light. So I think there's more things to like than to dislike right now. And to your point, Oscar, Tanaka may not be our best midfielder, but I don't think we've had a degree of technicality, at least in the Chev, not for a long time, as we're getting with Tanaka. It's pretty special to watch. I know it's early. Maybe I'm going a little bit overboard, but just every touch on the ball, I was like, wow, that's very, not just tidy, but crafty. You could tell the players didn't really want to. It's a lot of the times he was dropping back and having Meslier pass it to him when he had 2 on his back and still, squirming through it and playing a pass wide. It was wild.
He's definitely better suited. Sorry, mate. He's better suited playing slightly higher up, but I think the fact that he's still playing so well, even though he's taking the ball deeper, just shows how adaptable he is, and that's probably what's impressed me and surprised me probably most with Tanaka so far.
Cool. Don't leave, Mucker North. Don't leave. I was just about to address you. After reading I don't even know what the
messages
fuck you were saying. Yeah, clearly got a hard on for me. I don't know what it is, but listen, if you'd have been watching, you'd have seen I am back to Meslier for since probably Gabe give me a lesson in his save percentage or something. But yeah, you're there. Write it all down, bro. Good. I'm glad you're here. I don't know what you're chatting, bro. I don't even know some of the language you've used, if I'm being totally honest. Very well done. You must have done well in English. But yeah, I mean, look, I don't know. I don't know what you want me to say, bro.
I tried to defend Joe so this wouldn't happen, but
Yeah, Mucker's not. He's not stopping, is he? Jesus.
No. He's he's on smoke. Yeah, I don't know what he's on about though. Just some of the wording. I don't know what was. Hang on.
He's made his own logo though. That's kind of cool.
Online social relationships, YouTube gods and echo chambers. This is where false narratives fester and evolve. Joe Wayman has had a howler. I don't even know what that means. That first bit.
Am I a YouTube god? I'd like to be a YouTube.
Maybe that's
got
what
the
he's
Slim
saying.
Shady look. He's going to start doing rap god into YouTube god. It's amazing.
Do you know what the mad thing is though? Imagine, right? Imagine being able to come on YouTube and speak about a topic that's not predetermined and get it all right. Because I'm telling you now, if I got it all right, I won't be sat doing this. I'd be a fucking millionaire. Do you see what I'm saying? The facts are, we all have stinkers. I mean, once upon a time, Oscar said Cooper was like Baresi.
Oh yeah.
Once
the season, 2 years on the bounce.
Boss is coming and Joe's throwing people under it now.
Wait. Once upon a time, Gabe said Cardiff City was a more attractive proposition than Leeds United.
For a loan signing, I did say that.
Once upon a time.
Before the beginning of last
not
season.
even once upon a time. Tens upon a time.
No, it was one stream.
My man to my right has got many things wrong
stream.
as well, right? These things happen, right?
I'm quite happy I didn't get an example there, to be fair.
Well, I didn't want to use the example. I thought it's too harsh, bro. Plus, it's your show.
Yeah,
but listen.
Before we move on, I do appreciate somebody talking about parasocial relationships.
What does that mean, Gabe? Can you give me?
So a parasocial relationship is a relationship you form in your brain with somebody you've never met, based on their interactions online. It's really ironic for someone to post that in the chat about someone they've never met. So anyway.
So does that mean I've got not real friends online?
No. I think they're implying that you have a parasocial relationship with Meslier and some of the players, not at all realizing that and having any self-awareness that by tweeting, sending 16 messages to you, they're creating their own parasocial relationship with you. But anyway, let's move on from this.
So basically, my man fancies me. I get it now. Right? Okay.
You cannot blame him though. You cannot blame him.
No, well, exactly, mate. It is what it is.
But he needs to and just start.
Was that you?
It was
happened there?
Yeah.
This is a mad episode. Right. Okay. Let's get into.
We're getting around the goalkeeper. We should probably talk about Meslier.
Oh, we'll get into him.
Yes,
Right. Let's speak about him. Do you know what? I took myself away. Me and Joe did our show this morning. I took myself away and I thought, do you know what? I'm going to try and see if there's a way of trying to give him some, I don't know, credit. And I'm just like, I watch it, and I actually went and listened to some Sunderland fans and who were in the stadium as well, and they were completely baffled by it as well. They said the ball kind of might have zipped a little bit, but it was interesting what they were saying actually. I can't remember the channel, but they were saying that from where they were and they were directly facing Meslier, apparently his balance when he went toward the ball was kind of all off. It looked like he had a lot of his body weight on one side of the leg, if that makes sense. So he wasn't able to go toward the ball with a bit of a wider stance. It was almost just like an obvious thing. It's like, oh yeah, I'm just going to pick the ball up. But he didn't sort of seem to predict a sort of secondary or third maybe outcome in that. You know, as a goalkeeper, you're always told, aren't you, to not make these sort of mistakes and to have a wide body position, to not overcommit on one side, to have a decent balance. So
can we get out ahead of some of the excuses I've heard? Can I just say a couple things here?
Yeah.
All right. So everybody wants to talk about the glory days of Leeds United, late 1960s, early 1970s, and I'm with you. Let's talk about those. Let's also look at the state of the pitch and how the ball traveled. This is why fundamentals are so important in football. You can make great extending saves, and Meslier does a lot of those. When he makes a good save, it's usually a long distance shot where he's had to do something acrobatic and bat it away from the top corner. But over and over again, this guy messes up the fundamentals of goalkeeping. There were plenty of keepers in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s that had to play on woeful pitches with divots all over the place. When the ball hits the floor, it bounces a number of different directions. That's why they tell you to keep your base wide and catch the ball away from your body. You don't scoop it into your stomach when it hits there. The fundamentals with this guy are so radically off. They seem to have deteriorated season after season. And this is why he will, and I'm not saying we shouldn't give him credit for these, when he does make a spectacular save, and he made a pretty good save and earlier in the match against Sunderland, those moments stick out in people's minds, but they forget, and this is why you look at data and analytics, at last season, not 4.5 in terms of goals prevented. That's a terrible number. That means for almost 5 goals, relatively routine saves that he should have made. And if it's a save you shouldn't have made, it gives you a positive goals prevented. So over time, the guy, and I think it's primarily a fundamentals issue, and we saw that in the Sunderland match. He just doesn't do the things you expect every keeper should do. Like when he goes really easy play, yeah, it's crowded in the box, but a cross comes in, he comes up, and he picks it up out of the air, right? But he's like fumbling it. He barely secured it earlier in the match. And this guy is probably not going to cost us promotion because I don't think our margins are going to be that fine this season. But I do think he cost us last season. It's very difficult to look. And I'm not saying there's a single moment you could track back.
I was going to say, but sorry to cut you off though. Can we say that?
I'm just saying, if you've let in almost 5 goals that wouldn't have gone in if not for your blunders, you have to look at that over a series of results and say, is that a draw that could have been a win? Are we above 90 points? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you can point at him and say, you alone cost us promotion.
Right.
But this is a position that has to be upgraded. And I really do think they should be looking for an upgrade in January. There's nothing we can do about it now. But blunder after blunder after blunder with this guy, not nearly any is bad. And look, if the ball hit a divot, if it hit something on the pitch, I don't care. If your base is wide and you're covering the fundamentals of your position, that doesn't happen. Simple.
I don't think they'll replace him in January. I don't think the club will do it. And I go as far as to say that it'd be wasted money for where we're at right now, Gabe. Maybe. I think.
Because we could go up with them is what you're saying?
We can. Like, I agree with... I agree with you. Yeah. He's letting us down, and we can look, I spoke about it earlier. I even think, and I got criticized for this on my own channel, I even think he should have done better with the pen. All he has to do is step to the left, man, and he saves it.
It was a poor pen by Sargent, wasn't it?
Really bad, man. Like, so we can say right now, he's cost us more points this season than he's earned us. But I still think it won't cost us enough to stop us from getting top 2 with the standard of the league. Do you know what I mean?
I think you're right. And people will point at the improved save percentage, and it has been improved 83%. However, look at the number of shots on target he's faced all season. It's much easier to have a higher save percentage if you're barely facing any shots.
This is where he's going to be tested now, right? Because of the midfield. So we're going to see some real tests coming in. And look, my main concern is, because I've been there, I don't want ironic cheers because it happens. It happens. And I worry about Meslier's mentality. Listen, I don't know the guy, but like, he's a confidence player of that, I think, you know. I might have a parasocial relationship with him, but I don't actually know him, like, personally.
We need to make that stick, by the way.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? But I do worry about that side of it. You know, that first save after the international break. Will he make it? You know, that kind of vibe. And
Joe, there's all this talk about, and it's moronic in my opinion, everyone makes mistakes. True, but there are degrees of mistake making.
Yeah.
So if you were passing the ball back to Joe Rodon and he plays a poor pass that goes out of bounds, yeah, that's a mistake. It's not a fatal mistake. It's not a fundamentals mistake. If you play it back to him and it goes under his boot and then ends up, conceding a corner that leads to a goal, or he keeps sliding in, getting red cards in the box and conceding penalties, those are different mistakes. Meslier has played plenty of mistakes with the ball at his feet. His pass percentage is woeful for a keeper in the modern game. That's a fact. Those are mistakes he makes. I'm not willing to tolerate mistakes that lead to goals or in the concession of points. So we can talk about players making mistakes because there's some people in the chat saying, well, everyone makes mistakes. We'd have to punish everybody. Yeah, people were making those kind of fundamental mistakes over and over and over. Then, yeah, I would say that we would pull those players from the lineup as well. But not all mistakes are created equally. And the ones that are fundamentals, those have to stop. So you're right to say, Joe, we probably won't change anything. But my God, I do wonder one thing. Connor, you touched on it earlier today. I think maybe you were talking to Joe on a stream. I don't remember where it was, or maybe it was in your discussion with Brownie. But the point being, as a former center half, absolutely I'm thinking about maybe not everything. Maybe it's not that I won't play a back pass to him, but I'm absolutely thinking, hey, like this guy could be in calamity if I put him under any pressure whatsoever. So it changes my whole thinking. And I'm now thinking for two people instead of just one. It's not good.
Oscar?
Yeah, I mean, as Joe's alluded to there, the worst thing possible is the ironic cheers kind of thing. We've seen it with, much worse goalkeepers than Meslier.
It has happened though in the ground, hasn't it, Oscar? Yeah, of course.
I mean, listen, we're not in the Felix Feifold
no
levels yet. Yeah, I don't think we're close to them kind of levels, to be honest. But yeah, fundamentally, the shot stop is one thing, but I actually look as much at its distribution than anything. I think there's moments in games, certainly the last two, where he's simple passes or he tries maybe the harder pass, kicks it straight out of play. You just feel the crowd lifts a little bit.
He cannot handle a ball being played back to him and him kicking it first time. He can't do it. He can't do it. It ends up spinning in the sky. Never reaches past halfway. He doesn't get his foot through it. From a standing goalkeeper kick, he's not bad. But when the ball's played back to him, which we constantly do, if he's not playing it between the centre backs, the ball fizzes up in the air. He cannot get a clean strike on it.
It kind of spoils our momentum on the game. And it's not just, by the way, it's not just Meslier. I think Joe Rodon out the back at times this season hasn't been anywhere near last season's level, but I think his general defending, I'm not really sure. I think people are going way overboard on Joe Rodon's general defending. But anyway, that's a separate point anyway. But Meslier, obviously, you have the Portsmouth goal as well early in the season. That equaliser was on his near post. I think he should be saving that as well. So you're potentially looking at that and saying that's 6 points there.
It makes more in a week than the average Brit makes in a year. And I think that I've seen a lot of Twitter discourse about, feel bad for the lad. I don't feel bad for him whatsoever. If you're going to get paid these kind of wages in the championship, if you're going to be starting week in, week out, there's a lot of money on the line here. He's a professional goalkeeper. Fundamental mistakes like that, especially when there's an easy, there's such an easy play, even with the changing of the trajectory of the ball. Such an easy play. Just make the play and get us out of there with 3 points. It's just not good enough for me.
The comparison I'd make is Kiko Casilla in the promotion season. Okay,
well, it's not as bad as that, man.
No. Just let me make a point.
Sorry, Land.
Casilla obviously got that ban. I still think that was a massive part of why we did get promoted in the end, because I think Meslier going in, when Meslier was at it and at his best, I think was early in his Leeds career, those first sort of 18 months, 2 years. He went in, I'm thinking Swansea away, Barnsley at home, those real tight 1-0ers. We don't win those games with Casilla in that. Casilla absolutely bottles it in those games. And you look at it from that point of view and think, I know we won promotion comfortably in the end. Whereas in those games where the real do-or-die games, where Meslier really stood up for us, I'm thinking, if that happens this season, can Meslier recreate that? Can we see that from Meslier, or is he going to be closer to what Casilla was doing? I'm not saying, by the way, Casilla was atrocious in that promotion season, by the way. He's nowhere near as that level, by the way.
Yeah. But what's actually happened, right? Like, what can we pinpoint, right? Because we've had a guy, you're right to bring it to it, Oscar. This is a guy that made his debut against Arsenal. The kicking was phenomenal that game. We were all open mouth, like, what is this we're seeing, right? He then comes in and takes over Casilla. We get promoted. He's still the record holder for the most clean sheets at the age of 21 in a Bielsa team, by the way, that gifted up chances craziness in that first season where we finished 9th. I don't understand the fall off. I genuinely can't think back to a time where it's just gone.
Explain. There's no logic.
Yeah, because like you say, he can't kick, he can't save. The only thing I feel he's competent is one-on-one goalkeeping when it's him versus another.
I think everything else is poor.
Yeah, I agree.
Everything else. So then.
It's got to be confidence.
If everything then is poor, right? And we're talking about literally him doing one basic goalkeeper thing, right? And look, we're exaggerating, but if we're to be honest, handling's not great. He punches everything. His distribution is poor. His decision making, my God, I mean, that is below poor. I'm thinking to how are we not in a little bit of a zone now as Leeds fans, as 4 Leeds fans looking at this, and they're not direct errors, but the Norwich one me and Joe were talking about this morning, he's got to save that. He's got, how can a keeper stay down the middle and not save a ball that goes down the middle? The Portsmouth game, that I can't even believe, I still can't believe that went in. And at the weekend, we're already 9 games in, and we're talking about 3 massive points, to which point are you Meslier. So as a 4-way now, why are we not thinking that this could harm us at the end of the season?
Of course it could. I think it really could. I think at this moment in time, listen, this squad should be winning promotion comfortably, even if we've got questions over Meslier. We've still got, you look at Sunderland, at moments in that game, we could have easily gone 3-1. I thought we went too defensive towards the end of the game, but that's a separate point. But fundamentally, we've got the talent in the squad to put another 10, 11 out of 12 kind of winning run kind of thing. We just put a run like that together this season. I think we will be quite comfortably clear, but it's an if, isn't it? But as I say, even in that Bielsa season, as unbelievable as we were in that season, it did almost come down to, had Kiko been in net for those games behind closed doors, Barnsley, Swansea away, games like that where it really could have gone either way. Maybe we might have been in a totally different universe. It might have gone a different way. Brentford might have picked us in the end. Who knows? It might have, I don't think it would have done, but there's an argument to say it could have done. So definitely for me, if I'm looking at positions in January, I think even if at the very least, I think it's got to be competition for Meslier at the very, very least. I do believe that
they won't do it, Oscar. They've got
here's the reality.
Keynes.
Here's the reality too.
But we
say he's had 1.5 seasons. 1.5 seasons where statistically he's been a good goalkeeper. He's been active for 7 seasons, guys. So I think it's, if we just look at it that way, what's more likely that
but he was good at Lorient, and Chelsea wanted him while he was at Lorient.
But it's different when you're scouting a young player who, and he was, let's be real about what he was good at. He's never been a particularly good shot stopper. At Lorient, he was a 65% save percentage guy, which isn't particularly great.
This is over my head, this stuff, Gabe. I can't lie to you. I don't
know what save percentage is.
We've talked about 70, Gabe.
Yeah, I hear it, but...
What's that?
The context is a standard about 70, 75.
It depends on the league, but 75% is a decent save percentage generally as goalkeepers go. And people have aberrations throughout their careers. What I look at to rate a player is, and again, players are rated much more potential earlier in their careers than they are as they get on. He's still a relatively young goalkeeper. What I look at is season after season, over 7 years, the more he's played, the more data we have, the worse it gets. He was a young goalkeeper with a lot of potential. Athletic. I know he doesn't look athletic sometimes, but athletic, can make a spectacular save. So when you're playing at a top and at a club with a lot, where young players are featured, that looks good. He comes in as a stopgap for Leeds United. His first 4 games, he plays really well. In the next season, when we finish 9th, he has a pretty good season. Joe, you said it yourself that it's open play. Still, 76% on the save percentage is a decent number, but it's not incredible. Every season since that, he's been bottom or middling in every statistical category. And a lot of this comes down to fundamentals. I think early in your career, they say, well, he'll work out the fundamentals. It hasn't happened. And you get exposed the longer you're in between the pipes. So now, and you can guarantee good managers are looking at and say, hey, guys, if we get into this position and we get the ball in these kind of areas, the goalkeeper's going to be shaky.
I think Wilder's going to be focusing on that massively. That's got to be a little.
Plus, Heyman's going to be hitting shots from all angles. I personally think on that Friday night game, I really do.
Joe,
I'm not. I just think he will.
They're gonna put it on him. They're gonna.
Yeah,
Wilder's too. He's too. He's in the game. He's the old style man.
Bro, he rested Hamer. He knows what he's doing for the yellow card. He's like, I need you.
And is it set pieces as well? Hamer does set pieces.
And think about the set pieces, the corners. He's going to be saying to him right on top of him. Right on top of. And it wouldn't surprise me if he has someone on the edge of the box for the punch. And it drops 2 and bang, he'll have gone through all that 100%.
definitely an issue, and that game's going to be massive for Meslier. Melier's Leeds career, I don't want to be over dramatic, but that game's going to be big. It is going to be big.
Fucking hell. Hey, like Marazzi Cooper, that I don't want to be over dramatic here, but his career is on the line.
On this game.
You were about to.
He needs to respond. If he has, listen, if we go and beat Sheffield United 1-0 and he produces 3 or 4 really good saves, the narrative.
I don't even think he needs to do that, Oscar. I just think he needs
changes.
to not let in goals on mistakes. I don't need him to be spectacular. As Joe mentioned, maybe it's not worth the money with the team that we have to go in and buy a spectacular keeper for this level. All I need is for the guy not throw away points. That's all. That's all I'm asking. I'm not even asking for him to be great in distribution or something that he can't. Right now, I don't think he's a very good goalkeeper. I don't think he's been a very good goalkeeper. I just don't want him to throw the match away. That's what.
But I don't like what Farker said as well. Almost like, well, he's not going to be dropped, and it's like, well, you don't have to come out and say that, but ultimately, just keep him guessing.
If it happens again, he'll be dropped. I can guarantee.
Just keep
that.
him on his toes a little bit.
Do you not think though? So we don't know. So if we look at some comments that Farker will say about players in press conferences, for example, he'll say Ramazani's not ready or whatever. Yeah, he was. Then he's building up Solomon. He's already played in Champions League, I expect. Probably knows Meslier more than any of us do, and knows that if he was to come out and say, well, his position, he might go the other way, Connor. So him saying, no, he's my number one might make Meslier. We don't know, do we? But psychology is big in football management, I would assume. So, yeah, I mean, he said before, he's the best keeper in the league. We know where that got me, so we'll have to see what happens there.
I'm just starting to realise whatever Farker said, you kind of believe about a player. It's actually inadvertently Joe. It's just Joe Farker. Yeah,
it's a just Farker show. That's all it is. Where I get all my shtick.
Fundamentally, though, lads, I think
Oscar, just let me read this out and we'll get to you, mate. Prasad says, greetings from a very hot California, you jammy. Prasad, Joe's in Sunderland. Don't take the mic. Not but narrative that Meslier had decent game, bar error. His distribution was as crap as ever, and every time cross game. Sorry, I really emphasized the crap. There,
you did.
A cross game into the box. My heart shot up. Grim Reaper says his confidence dropped from the relegated season when he got dropped. We had no. Do you know what I want to know? I want to know
in that season before he got dropped.
But I want to know what we can look. I don't think he's good enough. I've never thought he was good enough. I think Joe's right. You go back to that season, when we first saw him against Arsenal, we're all absolutely pining for him to be in that side, and we were really impressed at the start. I was like, who is this? Brilliant. How have we managed to get on hold of this guy? But then he sort of developed, and I'm still not 100% sure he's had a really good season, but he's been with us a while now, and he's vice captain, which is it is what it is. But I think you've got to do something in January as a number 2, just to not even
if this carries on.
Not even to like how there is no competition for Ilan Meslier. How is it? I said this in my post match. He stood on an island by himself. What is going on with the coaching? What does the goalkeeper coach do? Because fundamentally, he can take all the blame. I don't think he's good enough, but he's only 24.
He must look amazing in training, Connor. He must not make these mistakes in training. Then he comes out in the match and makes mistakes. It must be.
Yeah, but what's been developed on? What's been worked on? Because I'm not seeing any area of his game that's been developed on. Like, I don't understand as a young goalkeeper how we're not seeing development. Is it just not? Is it not clicking? Is it not working? What's happening? Because something's got to be questioned out.
There is competition, Connor. There is competition.
But Joe, the thing is, all right, so say the Sheffield United game, okay. Meslier makes 2 mistakes and we lose the game 2-1. At that point, it's going to become.
I agree,
and that's why I say it's a big game for him. Would you feel comfortable at that point in putting Darlow in on this answer? That's
the only. He was brought in on competition. He turned down Premier League moves to come here. He'll be on a decent whack. That's the competition. That falls down on recruitment for getting that wrong. But Darlow had a decent season at Hull the season before. He had a decent season.
He also had a fantastic game for Wales, didn't he? About 3 weeks ago.
But when he's come in at Leeds United, he's been worse. So that I get, maybe it's Leeds United. I don't know. Is it the shirt? Because he's genuinely came in at Leeds United and been terrible. And I think a lot of us expected him to be number one, and the club were going to look to sell Meslier after the season he had at Hull.
Maybe.
Hull wanted him back.
I think Ryan's this interesting comment actually. Marseille been interested as flattered Meslier to making Farke. I think he's got.
I call cap on that, by the way. That's bullshit, because that week that story came out, there was a story about Nonto to Forest, there was a story about Crete to somewhere else, and then we ended up selling Gray. All 4 of them stories came out at the week of the PSR deadline. All 4 of them, genuinely. There was Meslier, Marseille, Nonto, Forest, and Somerville somewhere else, and then no one moved, and then on deadline of that, Gray went.
Well, on top of that, Joe,
didn't Kinnear also sort of insinuate on the square ball that they'd rejected sort of major offers for the sort
but
of
even if that's the case, Connor, it's neither here nor there. A professional manager at this level isn't going to be like, oh, a club's in for him, I should start him every match, he must be good. Like, I think Brian, I typically agree with him all the time. He makes great points, but I just don't think. And if that's so, if like a manager can get is making personnel decisions based on hypothetical bids from other clubs, that's absurd.
It's essentially Wilco's white. It's getting down to the fundamental here, and he's just saying, "Well, no. What's for Darlow?"
In fairness to Darlow,
so Wilco wants Darlow in. Is that what we're saying then?
What I'll just say on Darlow is one thing: we've not got a big sample size on Darlow. To be fair, we haven't got a big sample size in him at all. Yeah, what's he played?
We'll try something here. Darlow, shite.
I was about to say
he's bound to have a beauty now. Get him in.
I do imagine he comes in and just plays a worldly performance, Joe. You'll never hear the end.
Do you remember when Klaassen came in? Klaassen came in, did all right, got a clean sheet, and everyone's like, "Get Klaassen in."
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's a small sample size. I mean, if you just watch those games, you think Klaassen's a better goalkeeper than Darlow, and I definitely don't think that's the case. So there is an element of that, but I do think in January, if it carries on like this, at the very least, you probably have to look at the competition on that side of things.
Maybe.
I'm not saying it will happen. I don't think it will happen. But what Leeds need right now, and it sounds like a crazy thing to say to an extent, but Rob Green, I think, is the last goalkeeper I've looked at and thought, at the very least, he's going to give you a 7 out of 10 every week. The odd 8 out of 10, the odd 9, but most weeks it's going to be a 7 out of 10.
How old is Rob Green?
Solid.
48, I think.
Oh no, I'm not saying sign him. I'm saying that's the last time I've looked at it and thought.
Oh, okay.
I've got a goalkeeper there who
get Ben Foster in, man. Get Ben Foster.
Yeah, I'm not saying no that route. I'm just saying.
Okay, never mind. Sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you were saying.
But you're looking at it before Rob Green. You're looking at maybe Kasper Schmeichel. That was like 5 or 6 years before that, and then you're looking after Rob. We've not got a good history of goalkeepers. That is a not hot take to say that. The fact of the matter is, Meslier is probably second or third best, and the fact we've got that many questions around him, shows how, not great would be in that kind of position.
Well, let's move it on from Meslier anyway. Let's talk about the standard of the division so far from what we've seen. We're nearly 10 games in. We've come up against, in all comps, I think it's 5, maybe 6 of the top 10. Obviously, we've played a lot of teams in the bottom members of the division as well, and done reasonably well against. Done very well against, actually, when you look at the results. The teams at the top of the table, if you do include all competitions, we haven't won a game yet. But there is context to be applied to that. Injuries included, Rutter, I guess, against Middlesbrough, Burnley. A lot of people would say we're the better team. Joe, I'm going to come to you, mate. And I know this probably is going to get you hot under the collar, me saying this, but does it bother you at all that we haven't won a game against sort of one of those 5 or 6 yet?
No, not one iota. I think the division, and people always they get so angry and triggered by me saying this, but Leeds are far and away the best team in the league. I think if Sunderland's right, because everyone's response to me is, and I think it's a brain dead response, but it is what it is. They'll go. Well, we're not first, right? Okay, so by that logic, then Sunderland are the best team in this division. Now, if your logic's true and they're the best team in this division because they're in the number 1 spot right now, then if that's the best that the division's got to offer, then Leeds United are going to be more than fine. West Brom, it was only a few weeks ago. They're going to run away with it. We didn't even really have a goal at West Brom. If we'd have had a goal, we might have got a result, but Farke was more worried about stemming the bleeding, having conceded 6 goals in 2 games. That's a different game at Ellen Road. That's a different game midway through the season, having not conceded 6 goals, just prior to it. People want to chat about Burnley. We lost the game. Okay, I hear it, but it's a moment in time. It's a slip. Look, the games against better opposition, let's take Norwich for example. Yeah, they got a point via a penalty. You could argue that's an error from Joe Rodon. Keeper should have done better. The game at Sunderland, we know how that one ended. Again, that's an error. The one at Burnley, again, that's a slip by another player. We're not getting carved open by teams. The most vulnerable we've looked for me this season is that first 10 minutes against Sunderland. That's it. I watched that game and thought, oh my God, these are...
Was it not Bobby and Joe that we started Sunderland and Norwich slow, though? The fact we've gone 1 down in those games after 15 minutes. Is that not weird a little bit? Compared to, say, I'd hate to keep using Bielsa, but say Bielsa in those big games, we went out flying against these teams.
But if you can say, does it not worry you? We started slow or whatever in the Sunderland game. We won it, by 10 seconds. For me, that Sunderland game's the perfect away performance. We've gone there with a brand new midfield. We've gone 1-0 down in 10 minutes. We've come back and controlled the game, even without the ball. My mates were at the game from round where I live saying, look, we couldn't lay a glove, even though we had the ball. That second half, they didn't create nothing. They had that 10-15 minute spell. So we'd actually, you wouldn't be saying, my point is, Oscar, you wouldn't be saying, that first, the fact we started slowly worried me. You'd be sat here going, what an away performance. But because of one error.
What I would say is, I think I'd agree with you in terms of 10 minutes either side of the game. That sort of 70-minute spell, I thought we played some of our best football of the season. I think we were the better team. The issue with it was we were so comfortable in the game. I still look at the substitutions we made in the game. In terms of Byram and Schmidt coming on, that sort of 5 or 6 minutes, we just sat in. And I think when you just sit in the way we did...
Schmidt played a killer ball, a killer ball that Aronson didn't... Do you see what I'm saying?
We were super unlucky against Sunderland. I'm not going to deny that at all. But I think when you sit in, I think Sunderland were there for the taking a 3-1. Honestly, I really do. I think Ramazani and Nonto...
But I think it's really irresponsible to play that.
Yeah. But what about Coventry then when we were 2-0 up and we sat in for the second half?
We were 2-0 up though at that point. 2-0 is very different to 2-1. To be fair.
But my point is that's what he's going to do. That's what he's going to do. That, and I'm okay with that because by that error, it'd have been fine.
But my argument against it is, if Sheffield United didn't have 2 points taken off them, we'd be 5 points behind Sheffield United doing what we're doing right now. Does that not bother you a little bit though?
No,
I'm not
5 points in 9 games behind.
No, bro.
I think personally it bothers me a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you.
I'm not bothered. So let me tell you why. Let me get in here.
I think the Norwich game and the Sunderland game were there for the taking.
Oscar, okay, we didn't take it, but tell me a team that we've faced that we've not been better than this season already.
I probably can't think of any. I think the quality difference is there, but
we have to remember where we played these fixtures as well. It's really important to think about. We went to Carrow Road. Right, this team, Norwich over the last 4 matches. I just did a Norwich there. I don't think I've ever done that. Norwich over the last 4 matches is top of the league in terms of form table. They've got 10 points. Their goal differential is +8. We were the better team, and I remember Connor being really frustrated that we didn't go try to win that game at the end. Okay, then we go to the Stadium of Light. Very difficult place to play against the top of the table side at the time.
1-4 and not conceded a single goal, Gabe.
And barring now, I gotta say the one thing that did kind of shock me about that match, and some people are talking about it in the chat, is the defense really left Meslier out to dry in the beginning on that first goal. I mean, they're just sort of standing around letting Sunderland players go unmarked. But be that as it may, a Daniel Farke team that starts really slow. The fact that we've been, I think, the better team in all of these matches we played against these good teams, and with the exception of dropping points at home to Burnley, we've been doing it on the road. So I think there are more indicators for me to think that our performances are going to improve. We're going to have all these teams at home again. I think if we were being outplayed, I mean, I don't even think are we even having the discussion if Meslier catches the ball? You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where I'm not really that worried about it.
Just one other thing. The Pirot goal's offside as well. We can't just talk, if we're going to talk about bad luck from the goal, we got a bit of luck with our own goal as well, to be fair. Yeah, but listen, I'm not
bad refereeing happens in the championship, Oscar, but it doesn't happen in the championship a lot, that kind of a goalkeeping blunder.
But it's still a point.
No, but it's
not
not
even-
though,
it's
Oscar,
not even
because we'll go back to the last game and go, well, Nanto should have had a pen. Like, what we doing here? The goal was given.
If
Yeah,
you're going to
there's
talk
10
about
different
okay,
coulda, woulda,
Clark
shoulda
being
moments per
unlucky
match.
that it finished 2-2 because Meslier's throwing the ball in the back of his own net, you've also got to look at the fact that Perot's goal when it happened massively helped us in the game. There's no question.
Yeah, but
about
Oscar, but I think Joe's point is there are 5 or 6. Maybe that's an exaggeration. There are at least 2 or 3 moments in every match with the standard of refereeing in this league. Where any team on either side of the pitch could feel hard done. Do you know what doesn't happen every match? Meslier throwing the ball in the back of a net.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So we have to assess the performances of the team.
We've won 4 games out of 9. Yeah, we've won 4 games out of 9 in a league where
for a Daniel Farke team that starts really slow. We know this about.
This is Farke's best ever start. I don't know about since, but prior to the 2 away games, his best ever start as manager.
Well,
and you said, Oscar, that we haven't hit the gears yet.
We will be there. You will apologise.
Listen, I still think we're going to be well up there at the end of the season. I'm not sure. Doing what we've done in the last 2 games is optimal. I really don't. I think.
Right. So 1 second then. Right. So you've seen him go from dominating games with a midfield of Gruev and Ampadu. You've now had your midfield of Tanaka and Rothwell in the last, and you're not happy with that. So which one do you want?
Well, no. He's not saying he's not happy. I think
no. He is, because he said
no.
You're saying
those games. Look at the way we finished those games.
Okay.
Norwich. I don't understand why we took off Ramazani. I still don't get that one.
Because we had the game Friday. I get it. But if we had James and if we had Solomon, that's context. You have
maybe,
to
yeah. Listen, Dan James has been a big miss in these games. Counter-attack.
I think he's
But remember, the original question that Connor asked were, are we concerned? And there's a difference between saying, well, the results haven't been optimal. Of course they weren't. Optimal results would be 6 points for the last 2 matches. There's a difference between saying it's not optimal and saying I have major concerns about it. Just like it's different from I don't think Oscar's implying here that there's a real dangers to us not going up given recent form.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah, so I think we have to be particular about what we're speaking about here. I think for me, if we were getting outplayed and losing it on margins, I'd say, well, okay, the team had a responsibility to be better. But the results have been marginal, and the biggest one for me is because of just poor individual play from the goalkeeper. So, it's one of those things where I can't imagine that's going to continue to happen. Yeah, I think Meslier will continue to make mistakes, but that one, that's one of the worst goalkeeping howlers we'll ever see, right? I doubt that's going to happen next match. So that's why I'm not particularly concerned.
It's one of those things,
Who are you worried about, Oscar? Is it Sheffield United? Are you worried about Sheffield United?
I think that's going to be a super tough game, but I thought that
over the course of the season, is that our main worry?
I think it is probably, yeah.
Okay,
what I'll say about Sheffield United is though they've got no depth. There's definitely
Kiefer Moore's not scored a goal yet. Kiefer Moore's not scored a goal yet.
Yeah, that's not worth that signing.
No,
O'Hare hasn't actually. Might come to bite me this, but genuinely up to now, I've not been that thingy by O'Hare. I think down the sides is where Sheffield United have been super strong. O'Hare's still a quality player, by the way, but I think fundamentally they are probably our biggest worry. I think just the fact you got Wilder there with the experience, there's no real hangover from last season. I was kind of banking on them having a bit of a hangover from last season.
They nip and tuck through games, man.
Yeah, no, I think
look at the Swansea game. Oh my God, the own goal's brutal, man.
Yeah, we're better.
I remember us saying this about a certain team who played in blue on the Coast.
But Sheffield United different beast.
I think the reason I'm a little bit less excited is that I was so convinced we were going to go up last season when we made up that points gap on Ipswich and Leicester. I didn't see how we weren't. After Millwall in March, I did not see how we were not going to go up. Honestly, I was so confident. Lads, I can't tell you.
I'll never come out of a Millwall match and be like, you know what? That's given me the real confidence about who this team is.
No, but
you'll never catch me doing that.
I think the players balled.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Their heads went, man. There was too much pressure, especially after that Leicester game and Rutter saying we're the best team and all that, and it just fell. And I just think the experience gained from that last year, I think those that are still here and obviously the new lad, honestly, my confidence has not waned. Okay, after Portsmouth, I thought, oh shit, but then since then, Borough aside, I've been confident that we just. The quality wise, look, and we've had a tough running. I'm telling you now, people keep saying to me, we've not played any decent sides. Hull are a decent side. I know they got slapped up by Norwich, but Hull are a decent side. After we beat them, they scored 10 goals in 3 games, conceding 3. Coventry have won 2 on the spin. They beat Blackburn 3-0 and then won, I think, again at the weekend. We have played decent teams.
Lost. They're better than they look, is the point.
Yeah,
but they have played. We have played decent teams. Who's left that we haven't played? Sheffield United.
But the thing is, Joe, last season...
Who else, though, Oscar?
Watford.
Watford.
But last season,
though...
Borough, yeah.
Yes, Borough.
But last season, these weren't the teams that caused us any issues. We just beat these.
Which teams caused us the biggest issues last season?
The teams that are down there.
Right, and which teams have we beaten comfortably this season? The teams that are down there.
Yeah, but that we're talking like...
Yeah, well, we've already beaten them more, haven't we, with the Cardiff and that? We've done it.
But we've not played the teams. Blackburn at home last season, were a team that, were kind of like... They weren't absolutely diabolical, but they were...
But which is it? Because the other week, right? Oh, we're beating the teams that are down there because Cardiff were down there, Coventry were down there, Hull are down there. Now it's like, oh, no, well, we're still... When can we be happy? We've lost 1 game, man. We've lost
but we've won 4 games out of 9 as well.
Right, okay.
That's not screaming a team that's going to go and coast to a title.
I'm telling you, it's going to coast. Which games haven't we coasted in? Take the points out of it for a second. Which game? I know, right? But there's context to each moment. For me,
the results don't matter.
I'm not saying that, bro. I'm not saying that. But there's a lot of context for me on the results that haven't gone our way, i.e., the Solomon slip doesn't happen all the time, i.e., the Meslier 2 gaffes, the penalty, etc. Which game have you looked at, Oscar, and gone, oh, I'm really worried about this game? Tommy, I might be deluded. That's fine, bro. That's your opinion.
As I say, I've said constantly all season, when I look at, I've said from the off, we have the strongest team in the league. I genuinely do believe that. But I look at, like, say, Burnley, there's not many players in that Burnley team I'd take in this Leeds team. And I still say that right now, honestly. But Burnley could be sat on winning 9 of the first 9 games. I'd still say the same thing. But no, I think in every game, we've had more possession. We probably had more shots and different bits and pieces. And that's always been the case.
So what's lacking then, bro, for you? What is it? What is it that's lacking?
I don't know. You look at, say, like the Portsmouth games like that. I know it's first game of the season. The way that one kind of went away from us just suddenly kind of thing. I think...
Yeah, but he's addressed that now, hasn't he? Because he's addressed that with the way that we set up, right? We didn't concede after the Borough. Like, that's been addressed for me anyway.
Yeah, I
suppose. Has it not? Has it not? Well, has it or hasn't it not?
I think because we've just naturally changed the makeup of the team. Obviously, Rutter has obviously come out. That's hurt us in an attacking sense, no question about it. But we're also turning the ball over less because we haven't got a 10 who is trying to take on everyone in the opposition team. Obviously, it has its positives and negatives. But I don't know. You look at like Norwich and Sunderland. The fact that we go 1-0 down in those games. I'll still say, we went 1-0 down in those games. We weren't in control of them games, were we?
We weren't in control against Sunderland.
What? Yeah, we
were not in control against Sunderland.
We went defensive last 6-7 minutes.
We were not in control against Sunderland, genuinely. Is that what you believe, bro?
But Joe,
so why did you just say we weren't?
Well, when we had the subs, we weren't. When we went Schmidt and Byron, we sat in.
We were still in control, bro. They created nothing.
But
we
Joe,
were still in control without the ball.
When we sit in, I don't understand why we sat in late on in the game. I don't understand why we didn't go for the
because he was playing. He was done. They were not all over us, man. I'll have to watch it back. They were not all over us. It's crazy.
I don't understand why we went defensive in stoppage time in that game. When you do that, you just sit in late on. Yes, sometimes it looks great when it works, but it can be anything: deflection, wonder strike, error.
Did they create anything by the free kick that was given on halfway, by the way? Halfway, just a little over halfway, not in and around our box. Halfway, that free kick was taken from.
Joe, where was it?
Also say, where was it taken?
Where was it
because I'm really needing, because we're saying, oh, we're sitting in, we're allowing them on. Look where the free kick was given, up the pitch by Jayden Bogle, who's your right wing back. That doesn't tell to me that we were sitting in with like a right back, a low block. It tells me that we were still up the pitch.
Ahead of Byron at that point.
Right. Okay. No, because Byron had gone on for third.
I don't know where this nonsense comes from that you have to, in order to finish out a match, you have to finish it with a 2-goal lead. To be honest, I don't know where this comes from. Generally, when you have a defense as good as Leeds United, you can afford to take a little bit of the foot off the gas and see out the match. And to be honest, again, barring a 1 in, I don't know what the ratio would be.
We win it. We do it right.
We win at the Stadium of Light, and the only reason we didn't beat Norwich is because the manager decided to go out of there with a point.
Yeah, but all I'm saying, lads, all I'm saying is,
you thought it could be improved.
I think this team is still capable of better. I do really believe that. I mean, that's fair enough. Do you lads not believe we're capable of better than what we're doing at this moment in time?
But that's not the discussion, though, is it? It's like,
I
agree with you.
And win the league. And
well, the minutiae
really
you were talking about,
we need to
the
be
minutiae of it. You were saying you don't understand
got.
why we sit back a little bit when we have a lead late in the game. That's the exception I'm taking. I agree with you. It's that we can improve. But this idea that we shouldn't somehow defend primarily and play more open when we're up, and to be honest, are seeing out the game just fine, barring a freak mistake by the keeper. I guess that's the point of contention I have.
My bigger issues with the Norwich game, by the way, lads.
Right, okay. And Norwich, for example, haven't been beat. Okay, Norwich haven't been beat since Bonfire Night at their ground. Bonfire Night, right? And we got a point there after giving away a penalty. If you don't give away the penalty, guess what? We win 1-0. Again, a minutiae detail that cost us the game.
Yeah, no, it is. But it is what it is, isn't it? You're going to have moments for and against. You look at, say, for example, the Hull game. Solomon produced the amount of magic for a game that was maybe heading towards a 0-0, and we go and win it. Sometimes moments happen for and against you, but I don't know. I think we're still going to be in and around that top 2, no question about it. I think we will get top 2, by the way, lads. I really do believe that.
I don't know.
I still believe.
I don't know. Doesn't sound like it to me.
Yeah, just be honest. But
that's my genuine. I think the league, it's us and Sheffield United at this moment in time. If you ask me right now, it can change easily. Flick of a switch can change very quickly. But I think at the moment, I'd say us and Sheffield United.
It was interesting seeing that Sunderland fan. Well, we've got a close family member who's a Sunderland fan, and he goes week in, week out, and he reckoned that we were by far the best team that has gone to the Stadium like this season. He said Burnley had a few injuries, but I said to him, well, so did we. We had a few injuries. He said you were by far. It was how quickly you were moving the ball. He said how quickly your players were moving. He said we've not seen a team like that so far at the Stadium of Lights. I think that's kind of nice to hear, because I know I kind of agree with some of what you're saying there, Oscar. I do think there's a little bit more detail to it, but I do get where Joe's coming from in a sense as well, of the fact that, a lot of the results we have improved on from last season as well. You look at the bottom teams, you look at the fact that we've not gone to West Brom and got beat. You look at the fact that we've not gone to Sunderland and got beat. You look at the fact that we've not drawn at home to Coventry. So there is context to it on either side, I think. But I think the biggest compliment I've taken away from that Sunderland game is the fact that they couldn't believe that they got out of it with a point. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. I think if you listen to everyone outside of Leeds as well, Oscar, Leeds are far and away
yeah.
If you listen to most content
creators,
creators,
to be Oscar's point though. I think Oscar, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to put words in your mouth. I think to put a cap on this, your point is I don't think we've hit top gear yet, guys. We'll probably be just fine. We'll probably finish top 2. We'll probably even win the league, but I would like to see us click into a higher gear.
That is my point. I think there's still a lot more to give. And as you said, Gabe, Farker does traditionally start seasons quite slowly, but I just think, I think we have got another gear to hit at this moment in time. I
don't think, here's one. I don't think he can go the next 9 games winning 4 games.
That's the point.
That's got to up a bit. I think that's got to up. I think just averaging out, if you're a top 2 side, I think the next 9 games, when we get to 18, you can't have won 8 games. I think you've got to win more than that.
Yeah, and I just look at Norwich and Sunderland and think those are games where you just relieve a little bit of pressure. 3 points is better than 2. You got to remember that. Even if we'd won Norwich, lost Sunderland, or the other way around, I still believe attack is the best form. At this level, I really do believe that. I think more often than not, teams that go on the front foot tend to find their way out of this league. I really, Leicester, Ipswich. How many goals did Ipswich concede last season? Ipswich last season.
Scott Parker
would have gone for it at Norwich for me. 100% would have gone for it at Norwich at 1-1. With them on the back foot, they would not have let Norwich off the hook the way we did.
That's fair. I think
West Brom away as well. I think that was. I understand the West Brom away game. I still think that could come the end of the season, that could be a cracking point because I don't think many teams will win.
Do you think it's the pressure of the fact that with Leeds, it's, I mean, he knows he has to get results this season. I feel like with Norwich, it was a little bit more laid back. It was a little bit, the pressure 100%. Aspect wasn't there at all like it is for us.
You see it with pretty much every manager that comes to this club. It probably only really Bielsa where it kind of is different. Even under Simon Grayson, where we were super successful, there's times where he looks at it and thought, at Blackpool, it's one thing, trying to get Blackpool promoted against the odds, but at Leeds, there's expectation on it kind of thing. And when we, started to fall away a bit after we beat Man United and all these different bits and pieces, it can change. The thing is with Leeds is we are by far the biggest club in this league, by far the biggest talking point. If Leeds, whenever we lose or draw a game, it's the biggest story in the world in this league. Biggest story in the world. Everyone was talking about Leeds falling apart again. We've gone and drawn at Sunderland kind of thing. It's not Leeds falling apart again, but that's a narrative kind of thing. So I do think that's something, I think it's for the players as well, something to adapt to a little bit. You think people like, say, Jayden Bogle, for example, we've played a lot of games at this level, but I think when you come to Leeds, it's like it's a whole new world again kind of thing where you're under scrutiny for every single performance. Some people are like talking about Jayden Bogle, because he's maybe slightly culpable for a couple of goals, like he's a poor signing, but I think quite the opposite. I think Bogle.
I don't think anyone's saying that anymore. I think
I've
no, they're not. No.
Saying it. I think Bogle and Nonto are really cooking down that right hand side.
Yeah, they are.
And I just think you've seen what this team can do. Nonto and Ramazani, I thought were unplayable at times, especially at Norwich. I thought were absolutely unplayable, and Sunderland there was moments as well. I don't know. It's just an interesting one was at this moment in time. I just think there's still question marks, but I think overall the quality we've got an experienced manager at this level, we should be okay. But I think we've still got to have half an eye on what the ultimate goal is the Premier League kind of thing. And you're thinking, can we do what we're doing now in the Premier League? That's another.
No, Oscar, there's no point even going there, bro.
Why not? Why not?
Because we've got to get out of this division.
Of course we have, but you've got to have half an eye on what you're doing, what you're going into.
I don't have no eye on it.
It's like when where Southampton are.
No, because
right, but we could. Yeah, I hear that, bro. But either way, it's going to be such a fucking slog. Like, so
we're not going to have half the team in this team. It's going to be a complete overhaul of players if we go to the Premier League.
Ipswich. Do you reckon when Ipswich were playing the way that they did, right, and they're not doing that now? Do you reckon he was? So what was the point in him doing that then? If he had half an eye on Premier League, he might as well have started playing defensive and putting men behind ball. Do you see what I'm saying? Good managers will change their ethos.
You could also say Ipswich aren't having a lot of success doing what they're doing now. They might as well have just stuck with their original philosophy and just gone at teams.
You could say that, but then your counter narrative to that is Russell Martin.
Yeah, but to be fair, Russell Martin, even last season...
He might end up getting Juve job like Company did with Bayern. You never know.
Well, that's why they do it, though. Exactly. Everyone knows what Russell Martin's game is. My head would be on Mars if Russell Martin was managing my club.
They're going to sack him, I think. Anyway.
It's embarrassing what he's doing. It's so obvious what he's trying to do. It's
Connor would take him. I know for a fact you'd have him at Leeds United in a heartbeat.
Oh, Russell Martin, what a ball.
You and them tacticals on Twitter have been watching him since MK Dons. Get him in.
He loves playing against Barker, doesn't he? Absolutely loves it.
Yeah.
Gabe looks like he's about to start singing us on the Star Wars theme tune there.
No, what's a good theme song to sing us out though? What's a good end of a team?
Are we finishing?
We're gonna go out. Gabe's got to move on. He's got to move on, but we can keep going if we've got some bits to do. But yeah, I'll tell you what, we'll keep going, Gabe. I know you've got work to do, mate, so we'll keep going for an extra 10.
Can I just defend myself a little bit here?
Can we just say, Oscar, can we just say...
What are we even talking about anymore, guys?
Can we just...
Oscar's back out,
do you think this guy on the second position on the bench could be okay? Yeah, if you got an opportunity. I don't think so. What are we even on about anymore?
Well, Gabe, listen, it's been a pleasure, mate, and we'll see you. We'll see you on the other side, mate. Thanks a lot.
See you guys.
Bye, Gabe.
Can I defend myself a little bit here? Like, people are taking me the wrong way here. I'm not saying we're Stoke City under Tony Pulis. We're playing this awful football. We're an awful team and all this and that. I'm not saying that at all. I think quite the opposite. I think we're capable. I don't know. Pre-season, maybe I had a certain expectation after watching pre-season where I was thinking, flipping heck, we're playing some of the best football, easily the best football we've played since Bielsa. And in that,
Joseph's going to score 100 goals.
In that Portsmouth game as well, I know it finished 3-3. Some of the football we played in that Portsmouth game, I was thinking, flip it. On another day, we win that 6 or 7-0 kind of thing. I just think since that game, understandable, we have gone more defensive. Joe's alluded to it. The positive of that is we're by far the best team defensively in the league. I'll say that even statistically, we're probably not. But I say on the eye, we clearly are. Yeah, I think we're clearly the best defensive team in the league. And by the end of the season, I'd be stunned if we don't have the best defensive records in the league. So that's so if anyone's having this narrative on me now, that's one thing to hit you back with straight away. But the second thing is, I don't think that necessarily means it has to be the expense of our attacking players. I don't think we need to fear anyone at this level. I don't think we need to go to Norwich away and fear. If we lost that Norwich game, it's a point less, but I honestly thought we'd have won that game at that point. I think in these games, I think we can start opening up. And the Sheffield United one will be the telling one for me. If we do the same against Sheffield United, I would be frustrated because I think we can go to Sheffield United and play them off the park. I really do believe that, and still be solid defensively. I don't think that's beyond the realms for this team. I think they've got so much talent in that team. Joe Rodon and Pascal Struijk is a Premier League centre-back pairing for me. I genuinely do believe that. I think it's a lower end, at the very minimum, Premier League centre-back pairing. It's by far the best at this level. Even with Joe Rodon not on top gear, we've still got one of the best defensive records in the league. And with Meslier making mistakes, we've still got the best defensive record in the league. That would tell me that the potential on that side of things is huge. Jayden Bogle maybe made quite a slow start, relatively. Junior Firpo, I think, has been outstanding since he came back into the team back in December and January of last year. I think he's been brilliant for a long, long period of time now. So we've got the fundamentals of a really good team. And you look in the attacking areas, Tanaka, Nonto, Ramazani, Solomon to come back, Perot, if he's a starter.
Oscar, what would you do with Perot and Joseph?
I genuinely think there's a case. I'm not saying I'll do it straight away. There's a case to start both with Joseph in the 9, Perot in the 10, but I wouldn't do that straight away because I think against Sheffield United, it's probably a little bit too gung-ho doing that. I think you probably.
Who do you drop, Oscar, in that scenario?
I don't think he should be dropped yet, but I think maybe Aronson is probably the one who's the most obvious. But I think Aronson's been great. I really do. And I think in the big games, his pressing from the front is really important. But I think against
what about if like James was to come back and there'll be a lot of people calling for James wide right and maybe Nonso in the middle? Would you?
Yeah, I think that the good thing is it's good problems to have though. This is the thing, lads. It's not a bad. These aren't bad problems to have. This is good.
Solomon's the other one if he ever gets back fit.
And I think Solomon's probably better in the 10. I think Solomon and Ramazani combined together on that left-hand side, absolutely no problem at all. I think there's no reason why them two can't be in the same team at the same time with Nonto on the right or James on the right. So it's definitely a good problem to have. I still believe thoroughly, though, Matteo Joseph should be our number 9.
Yeah,
Firmly believe Matteo Joseph should be our number 9. I think the goals are going to come. I know might be quite a thingy story. I've said this for like probably the last 9 games, but I do genuinely believe the goals will come. He just scored at Norwich, had Jayden Bogle squared it. Could you say he just scored the Perot chance? Who knows?
He should have taken the penalties. I think that's a him. I don't know if that's an instruction. Well. I'm not sure that's an instruction or if he's just decided. I mean, he got one. He just gave the ball to Pascal, and I thought, just get hold of it, mate. You're the number 9. Get hold of it. Even if I said that before, even if
I think Pascal.
Penalty
aside, is a good penalty taker. I really do believe that. I don't think just because one. But
there's more to it, Oscar. There's more to it with Joseph. You want him to get 2 or 3 goals, don't you? Now, and I feel like I don't know whether or not Perot's come in now. I wonder where his confidence is at, Joseph. I wonder. I don't know.
Yeah. It was a big.
It could have been a fitness thing, couldn't it? Like, has he played? The day, but I'm not read too much into it.
I think we've got to remember as well is. We've spoken a lot about rotation with Archie Gray last season. Matteo Joseph's not that much older than Archie Gray. You've got to kind of manage his minutes a little bit, in terms of especially how crucial he is to our press. You can't really just have him play 90 minutes of every single game kind of thing just to get
back in. But we know the print with Farker. He doesn't get back in now, I don't think.
You don't think?
Unless Perot picks up an injury, I'm not 100% sure he comes back in. You don't want to be rotating your strikers 2 or 3
times. He won't drop him, will he, for return after scoring?
I don't
think.
I'd be surprised if we suddenly saw, I don't know, in 2 or 3 games, even if Perot's suddenly on the bench. I think you can, and Oscar, he can't keep doing it. He can't go to Joseph and then Perot comes back in even if he doesn't score really in his next two, he scored a goal in 3, I guess. It's not really good for the player if he then dumps Perot out again and then brings Joseph in. I don't really know what message that's sending, to be honest.
Yeah, but it's a long season. It's a 46 games. The idea we can just do what we did under Bielsa and play the same player in the same position 46 games a season, I don't think it's a thing now. I really don't. And I think last season you saw the damage it did with Ampadu and Rodon in terms of their form in the back end of the season. They were clearly, there was a bit of fatigue there for me. I really do believe that, in terms of obviously playing a lot of games for Wales as well. I think you have got when you have the chance to rotate or the chance to swap players in and out, I think you've got to take it at this level. And Farke's done that before. He has done that before. His Norwich team, that midfield 2, swapped in and out all the time. All the time he changed it. One week he played Kenny McLean. The next he played Vrancic. The next he played Tom Tribal, Tete, whoever it was. He'd swap it around all the time.
What's not happening with Joseph? Because we've chatted about it. I think on every other front, he's been brilliant. I really do.
Yeah.
I think it's been overhyped because he's not scored that. Maybe he's been deficient in certain areas. What is it? Because from pre-season, it looks like everything he touched went in. It feels like, I don't know, maybe he's overthinking. There's the psychology.
He snatched at a few, bro, and he's. Do you remember them couple that were like, he was basically on the line and he's like leathered them? It's like, I don't know if it's composure, and that comes, I assume, with experience. Listen, I'm not a striker, I haven't played that level, but I don't know if it's lacking composure. But I think everything else within his game for me has been good. So I look.
So you can't judge it on pre-season, but when he's doing it against Valencia,
Schalke, of course, I think he's been playing all right, mate. Personally, I thought he was okay against Norwich, but I know a lot of people disagree. But yeah, I don't know. It's just goals, isn't it? I guess it's goals, but he's assisted a lot as well, and he doesn't half work the centre backs, and he runs into the channels. You find him on the left, you find him on the right. You don't see that from Pirro.
I'm going to make Joseph Joe go now in a second. I'm going to make him go.
We've only got about 8 minutes.
I'm going to do a comparison. I'm going to do a quick comparison. Okay, I'm going to do a quick comparison. It's going to make Joe's going to cringe now. Joe's going to cringe in 3, 2, 1. You look at Arsenal, Kai Havertz. Okay, Kai Havertz has suddenly gone on this goal run. It's such a confidence position. There's no question about it. Kai Havertz hasn't suddenly become a really good player overnight. He's now just scoring goals. He's still doing a lot of the things he was doing before in terms of holding the ball up, pressing, winning flick-ons, all these different bits and pieces. I think it's the same with Matteo Joseph. I think the key thing is, I think we saw it to an extent with Farke last season, is playing players into form. And I think Joseph's one of those players who you can play into form. I really do. I think a lot of the fundamentals are there. I don't think he's had enough chances to say that he's a bad finisher. I think he is being a little bit starved of service because of the way we kind of play. We don't really cross the ball into the box a lot. Don't really look to play the line breaking passes in behind that often. A lot of our goals and chances are from kind of like nice little combinations.
And you wonder with the Tanaka and Rothwell partnership, with them being a little bit more advanced, Rothwell always looking for that ball in behind. There's a little bit of a differential between the Gruev and Ampadu partnership. I'm not saying the creativity is primarily coming from them, but it's going to be more, isn't it, when you're looking at your Rothwell and your Tanaka?
Yeah, absolutely. Because as I said with Nonto, I think his form has gone through the roof since Tanaka went onto that right-hand side of the midfield. Yes, we are definitely more susceptible to attacks against us on that right-hand side. No question about that. But going forward, I think it's linking up better. I think that right-hand side, the triangle between Bogle, Tanaka and Nonto looks a lot better to me in possession. Maybe it's less controlled, but it's certainly a lot more creative. And I think that's only going to benefit Joseph in one way or another. And I think Rothwell is someone who's got an eye for a pass, and certainly in the final third, when he gets in those positions. I think that one against Norwich, I was disappointed, to be honest. That one he got on the half volley, I think it's Southampton. You've seen him score them. I honestly thought, as I saw it bounce down, I thought, here we go, it's going to slot this in the back of the net. But the fact he's getting into those positions is a positive for me. If you look at it compared to, say, a Glenn Kamara or a Gruev, you wouldn't dream of them getting into those positions. So certainly from a goals and assists point of view, I only see it improving for Joseph. And look, we can talk about his lack of goals. He has got 3 assists as well. And these are big assists. The first goal against Cardiff, The first goal against Coventry, was it the first goal in that game?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so,
it was, wasn't it? Yeah. So, these are ones that
scored on international duty as well, so he's in decent
Not
form. Yeah.
Spain would not bring through Matteo Joseph with all the options they've got, all the talent they've got coming through if they didn't think they rated.
The gaffer spoke about him as well, hasn't he?
Who's that? Sorry.
The gaffer, the Spain manager, spoken about him, hasn't he? And said that he's essentially they're moulding him to be the striker.
At the end of the day, man, he played for England and for Spain. He's not bad. Do you know what I mean? He's not bad. He's got Emil Heskey's genes as well. He was all right. I know he weren't a goal scorer, but he was all right. Do you know what I mean? So it just takes time. Like you said, Oscar, he's a young lad and really young. And the pressure, he's far and above any other position for me. Maybe the goalkeeping position.
Do you know what as well, Joe?
Go on, man.
Joe, if you get in Peru scoring,
100%, exactly.
You look at not only that, but you look at if we were to get to the Premier League, or even worst case scenario, probably that wouldn't happen. But if we were to get to the Premier League, quite an outlandish point, but his stock is hiring and hiring and hiring, isn't it? If potentially there was a transfer on in the offing in a future, I don't know. I don't have a look at it. If we were to look at the Premier League, is Peru the man for the Prem? I don't know, but yeah.
I have to say though, Peru, not just because of the goals, I think in general has been a lot better in his general play this season. Yeah, I really do believe that. I think against Sunderland as well. I mean, I've got to admit, I thought physically I was a bit worried about it against Sunderland. I'm thinking Peru, Tanaka, Rothwell, it's going to be quite open that out of possession. Sunderland did have a lot of space to play into, but it didn't really materialise that way. If we're being honest, it didn't materialise that way at all. It was a controlled, good performance. Despite all I've said about that Sunderland game, it was a good performance for 70, 75 minutes. I think it was our best performance of the season.
Imagine a marginal gain, like a set piece for us going in. That'd have probably taken it away from him. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those. That's another thing. I mean, we'll see. I'm not holding my breath on that.
It's coming. Rothwell's deliveries were better, I felt. So it'll come.
Joe Rodon just needs to realise where to run when the ball's in the box. He can
never get on the end of them. Stroud's very good at finding the space, but then he's got a Crichton head, hasn't he? 50p head, it goes the other way.
Well, lads, let's leave it there. It's been a debrief's now just an hour and a half when Joe comes on. I think they are. They're just.
It's good. I enjoy them. I really enjoy it. It's good getting into it.
It's good, mate. It's a good debate as well. It's you've been a welcome addition as well, mate. So thanks for coming on. Oscar, no more hats next week. We'll you get yourself a trim, mate, and we'll all start.
I've overhyped this now.
I'm gonna grow my hair back. Look at the state of that. What was I doing? Why was I trying to hold on to that hair, man? Look at it.
It's mate. It's my brother, bless him, went through the exact same thing. So Rolling Wolves has been a great discussion tonight. Great chat. Thank you all. Before you leave, everybody, slap a like on the video. Check Joe's channel out, as I'm sure you all have done.
Or can I just say, I'm live at 8:00 with Benjamin Bloom talking about the front runners in the Championship who will challenge Leeds United. So yeah,
there you go. Go check it out, people. Oscar Mario on Twitter. Make sure you check Oscar out on there, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure, everyone. We will see you on the other side very soon. Cheers.